Hi, I'm Cindy Cloward with Riley Blake Designs, and today I'm talking about the Jane Austen 250th anniversary quilt. We are celebrating Jane Austen in a big way this year because it's the 250th anniversary of her birth. And we are the official licensee of the Jane Austen house located in Chawton, England. And at this house is the original coverlet quilt that Jane Austen worked on with her mother and sister Cassandra. So we have reproduced many of the fabrics from that original quilt. So you can see these are all reproduced fabrics from that beautiful quilt that Jane Austen worked on with her mother and sister Cassandra. But we also have augmented the collection that's called the Emma collection this year with original designs that we have created in-house honoring Jane Austen. So these are the original designs that we've worked on in-house, including we have a print of the original Jane Austen crest. That's the family crest. This stag is representative of the family crest. So we've got a lot of beautiful fabrics that go into creating this masterpiece of a quilt. Now this quilt was designed by Lori Holt. She loves Jane Austen too, and she created it with many of her methods, including piecing, machine piecing, and applique. So I'm going to get you set to sew because this is a block of the month sew along that we're starting next month, August 13th, and we're going to take you through. It's a 10-month process, so join me here each month as we tackle this quilt one block at a time. There are 9 different applique blocks in there. Some are repeated 4 times, some only once, and then we've got some applique borders, as well as I mentioned, piece blocks. And again, I'm going to take you through step by step, and we're going to just enjoy the process, enjoy making this extraordinary quilt. So let me take you through the supplies needed to make this quilt, starting with, of course, the fabrics. Now there's going to be a lot of online shops or your favorite quilt shop that's going to have these kits available to buy, but you're going to need to download the pattern from the Riley Blake Designs website. It's called the Jane Austen 250th Anniversary Block of the Month. Now this is a free download that's on our website, and it takes you through a lot of the details of creating this quilt. But you're also going to need the So Simple shapes that Lori Holt designed for the applique. This is what the So Simple shapes look like. 250th Anniversary Quilt. There's the quilt image on the back, and you're going to need these shapes to create that quilt. But a lot of the piecing instructions will be in here. Now the other thing that you're going to need to have is this big pack of sew-in interfacing, and it comes in squares like this. And one pack you're going to be able to use to make the applique shapes. Now this is the method that Lori Holt uses in all her sew-alongs, this sew-in interfacing, and I'm going to get into the details next month on our first block, because guess what? We're going to start with the center block. It's called Chawton block, and it's all appliqued, and we're going to get going on that block, and I'll give you all the details of how to use the sew-in interfacing if you've never used this method of applique before. I'm going to put that to the side. So you're going to start with those, your fabrics, your So Simple shapes, your interfacing. But let's talk about the other things you're going to need for this sew-along and things I recommend. So applique glue. Now, if you follow Lori Holt, she uses the Sue glue by Sue Daly. It's an excellent glue, and go ahead and get that ready to be used next month. But if you haven't bought any applique glue, I also highly recommend this as an option. This is applique glue by Jill Finley, Jill Lilly Studios. And what I really love about Jill's glue, it works great just like Sue Daly's glue, but the fine point that it lays down little drops of glue, and so you can really fine-tune the way you lay down your glue. And you want to use it like almost like a pin, so little drops of applique glue. So you're going to need some applique glue. Whichever you choose is a great option. Okay, the other thing that I highly recommend, I do love Sue Daly's Milliner's needles. If you applique a lot, you probably have your own favorite applique needles, but if you're just getting started, this is what I recommend. And this is size 11. So this is a good applique needle and a good option. You're also going to need this 1/4-inch bias tape maker. This little tool, this is made, I think this one's by Clover. You just need to make sure you have a 1/4-inch to make your stems on your applique blocks. So you're gonna need this tool. And then I highly recommend, these are pretty pins, these are applique pins. They are super tiny and they really go hand in hand with the design boards. And you're gonna really appreciate having design boards to getting you organized for all these blocks. So let me show you one of the blocks I worked on this weekend. You can tell this is all appliqued, but it needs to be pressed. And we never recommend that you press directly onto your applique blocks. We recommend having a pressing cloth, and that was designed by Jill Finley. And I'll show you how to use it later in our block of sew along, but that's another item that we recommend you get for this sew along. Again, I'm just highlighting our little applique pins. When you're laying out your block, it's kind of nice to have these applique pins that you can use on this design board. They're the perfect size, they're just little and they pin so nicely onto the design board. So that's an option as well. Now let's talk about threads. So we've used the sew-in interfacing and we've glued down our applique pieces and we're ready to sew. So this is what it would look like. Let me pull this one in because this has not been sewn. You can see that it's been laid out on our design board. We've used our little glue as little pins in here and it's ready to be sewn. So let's talk about threads. We recommend a high quality cotton thread. This quilt behind me, I used a 50 weight, which was really nice to work with, but we've also started working with Wonderful and they have a 60 weight thread. That is really a dream to sew with. So 50 weight's great, but a 60 weight thread is very nice too. Now I'm gonna put on my glasses for this so I can take a look at these threads. Now you're gonna want a thread that is very close to the color of the fabric. In fact, I kind of recommend maybe something that's a little bit darker. So you can look at this. This is almost an exact match that I used appliquing around this little tulip flower. And so you really can't see your stitches. You want your stitches almost hidden. And I'm gonna take you through how I recommend appliquing this on with thread, but get color thread that matches a lot of your fabrics, and you can kind of cheat a little bit and use the same thread for different blocks. And so I recommend, you're probably going to need a good blue, a green, a dark green, and a lighter sagey green, a yellow, and a coral color. Those are the basics colors that you're going to need on this quilt. Okay, so I think I've taken you through, of course, you're gonna need your sewing machine for all the piece blocks. And we also recommend various rulers. They're in the pattern guide to square up your blocks in the different stages you'll need to square up to make this extraordinary quilt. And we are just celebrating Jane Austen in a big way. So along with the 250th anniversary quilt, we have a lot of fun notions, including this darling ceramic pincushion that features fabric on the top to make the pincushion. Isn't that cute? We also have the Emma quilt kit that comes in the keepsake box, and it's the 4th in the series of each of Jane Austen's books in a special quilt kit. So we have Jane Austen embroidery items for those of you that love machine embroidery. This makes the Jane Austen doll set, which is adorable and so much fun. So we, again, are celebrating Jane Austen in such a big way. We invite you to make this extraordinary quilt. Meet me here, sew along with me month to month as we create the Jane Austen 250th anniversary quilt.